All right, it's day 7, and today we went to the temple.
All I know about this is
So we went to the East Bank Temple. Yeah, if it is, I think is how it's pronounced, but it's considered the university, and it's huge.
So one of the world's first universities.
You're in the great hypostyle hall.
And this is the same area that I guess Alexandria, how they created Alexandria's library.
Yeah,
Alexandria's.
So I guess this
Europe.
is where they took the took all the stuff out of it.
So they basically stole everything and then created a library
In Alexandria.
Exactly.
So one of the things about this temple, other than the fact that it's huge, is that it has these really big columns. And how many people, because we got over there, we heard them count and we didn't know what it was. But how many people was the last number you think you heard?
You know what, to be honest, I was thinking 7, but that was just the count off. So I know that I didn't hear all the numbers.
I think it was at least 14. I think I heard like 14 or 15.
Okay, because they were actually counting down, and I heard them count 7, but I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah, so a bunch of people got at the bottom and
holding hands
around a circle, just to put it in perspective, because you see it and it's colossal, and it's not something we see on a regular basis. And once you see how many people fit around it, it lets you know, it gives you a good idea of how big it is. And they were really tall, and I feel like I wrote it down like 3, 4, or 5 times how tall they were, and how wide they were, but I don't recall, and I don't want to be a liar. So it's just really big.
Yes, it is something to see. One thing that I don't know, it was kind of nice to see the actual painting. You know, like how they've actually painted, and you could still see that on the tops. Mainly on the top of the citadel, I guess, to call it.
Places that people can't touch, because the places that we could touch, most of that had kind of been stripped off.
Yeah.
And so the higher it got, the more intact it was. And so at the top, it was still colored. So you could still see the reds and the blues.
And the blue.
Everything.
It's beautiful. And then I also noticed how deep those the hieroglyphics are in there. I don't know what the difference are, but you could see that there's a lot more depth. Like I know you have those pictures of people actually being able to put their hands in some of them.
Yeah, you could put, I think it got up, I know it's at least 2 inches in some parts, but maybe even more, because I feel like I put my hand in one and it went kind of far. I can't.
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, but we skipped. What about the ceremonies?
Oh, we sure did.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, first, it's been an extremely long day.
Yes, it has. And that's why we skipped.
Call is at 4.
4 a.m. Let me make sure I say 8 a.m.
And we leave at 6. So, and everybody's like, oh my God, 4. But when we left at like, what time we leave? Maybe 11?
You mean left the place?
Yeah.
No, we were here by 10 a.m.
Oh, okay.
So think about that. We did everything. We had a full day and came back by 10 a.m. So you know we've been going. But the exciting thing is, or not the exciting thing, I realize now why it was so important for us to get up that early.
We all do. Because when we left,
so hot.
Everybody said the same. It was okay. So I don't even know what order to go in.
Yeah.
But like she said, we had a ceremony. So we all wore white today.
Not this white. But we were all wearing white.
So everyone wore all white. And the first thing we did were the marriage ceremonies. And so one couple was married, and was it 5 couples?
Yes, renewed their vows.
Yes. And so everyone participated in that. So when we first left, the guys and the girls couldn't speak to each other, and they had to sit on opposite sides of the bus. And then when we lined up, we lined up on opposite sides and made like this huge oval to where the couples were.
It's kind of like the village, you know. We're all here to witness. So we made this oval. At that time, did we call out names?
The ancestors? Yeah, well, I think they did it during each of their ceremonies. Yes. They were able to call out their ancestors so they could bear witness as well. I believe that's how that works. So it was pretty cool. It was hot the whole time. It was hot.
So hot.
That was at like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was very hot. This temple we know is in a straight line to the temple we went to yesterday. 2 miles is the difference. Originally, it's a paved road between the two. But of course, that's not there now. They put a church right in the middle of the path, and they even put a I don't know if we said that yesterday, a mosque inside of the temple. So a current mosque today that stands inside of the ruins of the temple that we visited yesterday at Karnak.
And we actually were informed that there was actually a church.
Yeah, the church is on the way to the temple we went to today.
So there's even some paintings that they have now added to, I guess, where the hieroglyphics are. Like we even saw the, what is the picture of like Jesus with the sun behind him?
The Serapis Jesus.
Thank you. What is it called again?
Serapis.
Okay, Serapis Jesus.
And so that was important. So with that said, I don't know, there's so much stuff, I don't know which way to do it. So we did all of that this morning. We saw the creation story, the original creation story. We saw, what else did we see on the other side? We saw the math.
Yeah, we saw the math.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
doing math.
My goodness, the calendar.
Yes, the calendar.
That is so spectacular to see, and just so enlightening to see that your ancestors that time. I mean, we're talking about ancient. 3,000 years.
Yeah, 3,000 years.
So 3,000 years ago, we had already developed our system of math. We've already had our calendar in place. And then actually when you look at our binary numbers, and I know we probably learned that maybe elementary or middle school, I kind of remember.
I don't remember. It's so long.
But when the gentleman said, hey, what do y'all see on the wall?
Right.
And then we were like, yeah, that's a 1 in it. If you flip it, it's a 0. And an open, yeah. So it's a 1 and a 0.
Yeah, or the correlation.
Like, those are the binary numbers. Like when I tell you, there truly isn't anything new under the sun. Like we just came into this and we're people acting like they've invented something. No. 3,000 years ago, before the Greeks, before that's a long time.
And it was great to hear. So I thought about this yesterday and even today. So looking at all this stuff on the temples, if we didn't have someone there to explain it, it would be a looky-loo tour. We keep saying that because that's what
looky-loo.
That's what Quasi calls them. But we see all the other people coming in. So right before we left, it got packed. Like hundreds of people got there. When we first got there, no one was there. That's how early we got there.
Yeah.
And we thought we were
being strategic about this thing.
And then everybody else got there, and we were like, I don't think we could have dealt with the heat and all these people.
Yeah,
so we were winning.
Much.
We won. Like early now today, everybody's like, okay, 4:00 in the morning, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it because we know we'll be back.
And Luxor is a lot hotter than even Cairo, so we're also dealing with that.
Yeah, because we're going. So we had a revelation today. We're going up. As we go south, we're going up
we're closer to the sun.
Yeah, so that's why. Because I'm like, I know what 103 feels like. I know what 105 feels like, and this, like, my back. I had sweat beads. I hardly ever get sweat beads. They're just doing this, like, tickling my back. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
It was
plenty of water. Plenty of water.
And also for tomorrow, we'll need plenty of water.
Plenty of water. So we got back. I'm trying to think if I missed anything there. Oh, so I wanted to say, with him explaining it. So one of the other things was, like she was saying, the Serapis Jesus is in one part of the temple. And then there was something else, I think, on the other part of the temple. But either way, we would have had no clue that was during, I wouldn't have had a clue that was during the Byzantine Roman era.
Yeah.
So I would have been super confused had I gone into a temple and I see these hieroglyphics and then I start seeing some, not really crosses, but a Jesus and just all these other images. I would have been like, what's going on here? Like,
because it doesn't match the narrative.
Yeah. And so to have someone there to explain to you the different eras, and even when he says something as simple as, like, during Tutankhamun's time, he was sitting there looking at the pyramids just like you guys are. Like, he looked at Giza just like you did. He was looking at the Hormacca just like you're looking at it. It helps, and he said that, but it helps you put it in perspective how ancient these items are. Because in Tutankhamun's time, they were probably 1,000, 2,000 years old at that point. Like, it's pretty ancient.
Got you.
And we look and we fast forward 2,000-3,000 more or whatever. Like, I think 2,000 more. Because I think Tutankhamun is 1,000 something BC. And I think those pyramids were built, I think the first ones, or at least the step pyramid was probably 3,000 BC. I think
that's 4,000. And today that was 3,000. That's why I had said.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been trying to mark it.
It's in my book.
Yeah, because the whole the Jesus narrative is 2,000 years ago. That's why I'm keeping
Jesus is 0. That's when we started restarted the calendar. Not us, but Julius Caesar restarted the calendar to mark the birth of Christ. So yes, so we rested. Much needed rest. We thought we had time. I rested. Just like I'm about to rest.
Yeah,
like,
my rest is me closing my eyes and staying still. I don't know if I've really had, I don't know if I've really slept. That's what's tripping me out about this. But I've always known that it's the same thing with meditation or when you're fasting. Like when you're not really sleeping, if you actually, your eyes are closed, it gives your body some type of...
I'm so happy. I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah, but I'm really on E.
I'll be sleeping about 15 minutes. But that's another story. So we went to the, we had a lecture afterwards. And it's so funny because I got back sleepy. When we started in the lecture, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like
and I was on that good coffee. My
first 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, I don't know. And it's funny because I had been bragging about how I get energy in the lecture. Well, after that, I found some energy and I was ready to go.
I think too, as well, it might have been information that you were probably well versed on, and so sometimes when it's a review, your mind's not as yeah. That's the only thing I could think of when you said you were sleepy. I was like, how could you be sleepy? But I forget. For me, it's like.
Yeah. So afterwards, I got back to that. But at first, I was like. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I was just bragging about how I'd be so energized, and right now I'm not. But it came up because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do another hour of this.
Yeah.
But the information got going, and he does a very good job of making it funny and adding in different things. And
even those I guess, sensitive topics or topics that you're just like, that's so eye-opening and I have to take a moment. Yeah. Still, his delivery, it's kind of like I don't know, what is it called?
He knows how hard it is.
Yeah, but you need a little bit of that humor. Like, sometimes you have to laugh.
Yeah, it helps break it up. Because at first you're sitting there like, I cannot believe this has happened.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. But one thing that I am, I guess, grateful for is it's factual. And it puts everything into perspective for you. And now it makes sense. Yeah. There's so many... questions. I know when we read the Bible, the narrative, we get lost sometimes. We're like, well, how did this or
it's
and
like here, there.
Some things kind of seem like it's contradicting, but now it makes sense. It totally makes sense, and you're able to, pull from this piece. And I mean, even the flag. I don't want to give anything away. But even when
give it away.
But even when I saw that flag and I saw the colors, before he even said it, I was like,
that looks like the American
goodness.
flag.
Yeah, like we've really... There's nothing new under the sun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's too much to even name. So tomorrow we go to the Valley of the Kings. We'll go in quiet. We won't talk while we're in there. And part of that is to kind of pay homage because it's a huge cemetery, and it's been just like what we were saying at the museum. Everything's been raided, and it's really sad to think about. It's sad to think about people pulling up, say you had a family plot, people pulling up all of your ancestors and putting them on display for people to see.
And then testing it and then...
pulling off their heads.
I mean, to be honest, it is quite barbaric. I mean, let's be honest.
It's very barbaric. It's very... eating in your tomb.
Yeah. Having a dinner, or a lunch.
All of your stuff comes
regardless of whatever it is.
It's really sad.
And this should be a sacred place. Like when people build catacombs or whatnot, they built that for their family to preserve, but keep, to keep sacred, not for us to come and plunder
take
and
pictures and take a selfie with the mummy.
It's not that type of place. Like, we have to really understand this should be regarded as, like a holy place.
So because we're still going to see it, and part of it is a catch-22. We have to see it because of what's been taken from us. And when I first started seeing stuff, everybody feels like that. When someone first tells you that some of this stuff happened, you're like, yeah, right. You're just making it up.
Yeah.
So in order for you to really get it, you have to see it. So when someone can show you, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, at that point, it's undeniable truth.
Yeah.
And so it's a catch-22. On the one thing you like, oh, I don't want to see this stuff. But on the other hand, you don't know what's been done to you. Like, we have no clue what's been done to us as a people.
And
because we don't control the narrative for one. And how many people are doing these tours every year?
Oh my goodness.
We see all these people come through and they explain what's going on the walls, they're not really explaining it.
Yeah, or they truly don't understand it themselves.
And so we walk around thinking we're cursed people because we don't have the opportunity to go look in Egypt, or we think Egypt is a bad place, or we don't have anyone to explain it to us. So it's like this is sad that I have to see this, but I have to see this, and I have to go show other people
so that I know where I come from, and I know truly who I am.
So sad.
You know, we talk about know thyself, but how can you know thyself when you're not controlling the narrative? And the narrative has been rewritten and plagiarized so many times. It's like, who am I? But this was so amazing, and although it's saddening that they have destroyed and
human bodies on display.
Yeah,
we are not going inside of Tutankhamun's tomb tomorrow.
No,
and his body is sitting right there. His actual body, like at the Cairo Museum, we didn't go look at all the king's bodies they had in there inside of Tutankhamun's tomb because that was the last one they unearthed. And they had a lot more stuff intact, even though he showed us where they went in and destroyed it, even though they just found it. But his body's in there. And you can go take pictures.
And a part of me, I am, in a sense, a bit grateful for them trying to prove something and then it blowing up in their face. As far as, let's go ahead and take, unwrap, the cloth and I guess, what is the actual word for mummied? Because we...
the crystalline or the christening or something like that.
I think it's chrysalis.
Yeah, so, but that's the Greek word. I can't recall what their word was.
Yeah, so basically...
maybe? I'm horrible at this.
So the wrapping of the bodies, how they preserved it, and how they preserved it was immaculate. I mean, I'm in awe.
Yeah, we can still see their bodies right now today. These people are like ancient.
Yeah, to find out that these archaeologists, historians, if you want to even call them that, were actually taking skin and testing it to make sure, if this is, of Caucasian bloodline or if this was of, African bloodline.
It's so funny. They said it has Negroid features, but it's not a Negro.
Yeah, like they want to deny this so bad.
We saw all of this stuff. Like seriously, we saw all of these.
It's amazing.
Was it time that they did the first reconstruction of what Tutankhamun looked like? He looked like what you say, the guy from Empire.
Yes,
he looks
he looks like a black man.
He looks like the guy from Empire. And then fast forward, I don't know, it's 5-10 years later. I have the stuff in my notes, but anyway, they have the new one, which I remember seeing when Tutankhamun came to Dallas, and they had an exhibit there. They had that head there. They recreated it and made him look like Boy George.
Yeah, looking like a Caucasian.
And so yeah,
man.
we saw all of that, and I remember a lot of it just from studying. I remember looking at the different books and reading those lines, the ones that were still available, because some stuff isn't available anymore. But I remember going to look at those and reading those lines, and I was like, wow. Or, I have a couple of books in my library that they wrote, and it's kind of hard reading racist books, but it's there.
But you have to. You really have to, because so much has been so much has been covered up, and you wonder why, but it's because it doesn't fit the narrative that has been, I guess, embarked upon us, that has been they inundate us with all the time. Like, this narrative is of this white person, of this white man, and it's not so, and so it's like they prove it and then they want to try to change it. Well, they have these features, but I'm glad that they tested the skin, they didn't even have to test the skin though, because anyone can tell you when we pass, the way that we change color is totally different.
And even some of the mummies, like we could see some of the pictures of the mummies, they were still intact. It wasn't a question. It was no question.
Teeth still there.
But it's one of the things I always say. If you find that something isn't fitting you naturally, even though everyone in the world tells you that's the order, that's a sign. Like, you shouldn't have to work that hard to do anything if it's supposed to be natural, if it's supposed to come to you. So if you keep finding all these questions, or you see it's extremely hard to do something that's supposed to be so easy that everyone's supposed to do, it's probably not your natural order, or it's not the natural information.
And it's very interesting, because when you think about, how Because I know I was big on being able to say, oh, Easter, pagan holiday. Oh, this, pagan, you know. And now actually understanding, and it's like...
It's getting round up, guys. Tomorrow's day 8. We're about halfway there. Yeah, we're halfway there now.
Yes.
So, look forward to whatever we find out. I'm pretty sure you see a difference and change in our moods. Well, that's hard to say. Sometimes we're like tired.
Yeah, I apologize because this is a tired face. I didn't even put on makeup for y'all today. No eyebrows or anything.
But maybe in our energy or something. I don't know. But yeah. We'll see. We'll do a wrap up at the end. We'll do a wrap up at the end.
Yes.
Day 7 out.